2, which has allowed them to propel to that first place. But before that, it was Vitality. Vitality and Liquid also neck on neck, so that is something that we're gonna have to look forward to over here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got the two Americas teams with Vitality and Liquid as far as this TFT tournament coming in. Vitality being a heavy favorite coming into the event, and I think Liquid also being a pretty strong contender to actually take down the entire tournament. So gonna be looking at both of those teams.
Yeah, it's really also important to keep in mind here that when you do get a win, you get 1,000 points, and Liquid sitting on top at the moment with 4,200. I mean, then the question for you here, Stuart, is how likely is Liquid to be able to hold on to this first spot if we only take TFT into consideration? Because Twisted Minds is in there too, by the way.
Virtus Pro is also in there as well, which is also one of the teams here as well. So I think all the top 5 teams that are in the club championship at the moment are all in this competition. I think in terms of with Falcons and everything, they're going to be pretty strong, and also with Vitality as well.
I mean, exactly. Falcons actually grabbed Lee Sao and Shelty from the Wolves roster that won last year. So looking at a team to maybe pick as an early favorite for TFT, it might be the Falcons.
Yeah. Okay, hold your horses, because you know what? That's been the case in every single game so far.
I don't know what to tell you.
But it didn't work. Instead, Falcons have been consistently getting their keys crushed, along with a lot of other teams in every single different title, because that is part of the competition. And if you're wondering, Ginny, what does crushing a key mean? Why is that important? I have a little explainer for you.
No competition is as ruthless as the Esports World Cup. Its trophy system is no exception. The Club Championship Trophy, awarded to the one club that rose above the rest and reigned supreme across all EWC games. The Game Trophy, when a competitor closes their eyes, it's all they see, and it's not complete until it's sealed with a champion's key. Every participant earns a key engraved with their name. That's their right to compete. This year, returning champions hold a key unlike any other. Only one can place their key into the Game Trophy and become an EWC champion. The frame of the champion's key is embedded into the totem, a stone marker of legacy displaying every champion of the year. The keys of the eliminated will be crushed. The champions select 3 broken keys as a personal token, a reminder of who they have humbled. Beneath the totem, a resin block holds the remaining keys, a graveyard of fallen contenders. Will your dreams be broken or your name carved in golden stone? At EWC, nothing is granted, everything is earned.
It's a really cool concept when you're looking at these keys, because it adds a little bit of element of spice, I would say, to it, where it's like, oh, we just beat you, we're crushing your key and taking it home on top of that too.
I think the key at crushing has actually been upgraded this year as well. It feels like when I've watched other competitions as well, the crushing has a little bit of a bang at the end as well. It has that extra feeling of being able to crush a component right at the end.
And we can see it live in front of the crowd when we do get to that stage. But also the prize pool is quite something that we would like to highlight here, because the teams are competing. It is a 4v4 tournament, so it's something that you take home. But the club prizing specifically, I mean, $7 million for that first place. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see numbers that big most of the time. I can't count that high personally. I think that would be a bit of a stretch for me. And I think, you know, that on top of just the amazing trophy that is coming with this is just absolutely insane. It's just life-changing. I mean, it's changing for all the clubs as well to be able to do so many more initiatives for their teams. It's something that they all want to be a part of.
Yeah, and I think as well, when you're coming into EWC as a roster under a specific team, there is a little bit of pressure to at least get a top 8, top something finish to get some points under the board, because of course if you get that first spot you get 1,000 points, which is absolutely incredible. But we have different games happening over this period of time. I mean, 1,000 points for first place, you get 200, okay, if you are 8th, but let's be honest, that 1,000 points, considering the difference right now, that we're considering how tight it actually is between the top 5 teams and they're all competing here, I think that can genuinely propel your organization forward.
I think you mentioned, great, last year with Falcons, they ran away with it last year, but with this year being so close, that 1,000 points is going to be all the more important with teams like Team Liquid, Falcons, everyone up there.
Well, exactly. I mean, Team Liquid is the big call out, right? If they're able to grab 1,000 here, they may start to run away with it like Falcons did last time around. But of course, as everything is so close, if they're not able to grab that, there's going to be another team right on their heels.
Yeah, and you're wondering what exactly the next days of competition are going to look like for TFT to let these teams get to this club championship point. We have a bit of a format, and that is the fact that we're going to be starting off with 16 teams. They're going to be playing in a round robin, double elimination, single elimination bracket here. here in the playoffs, and only the top 2 of each group is going to go forward. Like, we're losing half the teams by the time we get to Wednesday night.
I think that's the crazy thing is, like, you play 2 games, you lose 2 games,
Yes.
you're out of the tournament. So there's no room to kind of build yourself into the tournament. It's straight into the games, and you have to start off strong.
Yeah, I mean, it is big, right? And we look at a lot of these groups, and it is just, you're not going to see a lot of the teams. You're just going to play the few in your group, and you might be out before you even get a chance to take on some of the teams you expected to beat. So really, it's all about the prep for that first group. Can you make it out of that first stage? If you can, then worry about the rest.
Yeah, you have like a 50% chance, basically, of actually making it out or not, and some of these groups that we've seen are a little bit more stacked than the others. But we have 16 teams in total, so do the math. So we have 8 left, and the Group A specifically is a group that I'm really looking forward to, and I think everybody is, because we got Vitality sprinkled in there, and this is the roster that everyone is keeping their eyes out when it comes to these groups.
Well, exactly. I mean, you look at Vitality's roster, and this is the same team minus Toronto, Tokyo, plus Prestivan that was able to make top 4 in the last year. This whole team is basically committed to 4v4. They like it more than playing solos. They love 4v4. They all are known as big streamers for TFT in North America, and they all took time off streaming to boot camp and practice together, putting everything on the line for this, and anything except for first would be a disappointment to this Vitality roster.
Ooh, that is a big statement to be making, especially on day number 1 already, because, I mean, they are coming into this as the first seed, so of course they will have a target on their back, but T1's in there too.
I think Group A is pretty stacked. I think it has to be the most stacked out of all the groups that we have here, Cass. You know, with T1 and Vitality, you've got Weibo who coming in with a new roster now with high possibilities, and even Alcadzia as well, bringing up an EMEA roster, which Volta in there as well with big talent.
Had a great run in the global qualifiers,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
You know, I think that group, as you said, is just the most stacked. I think T1 is another team that you look at as like, oh, they could just win this whole thing. So when you look at 2 groups that you would immediately say, or 2 teams that you would immediately say are favorites to win the tournament, and they're in one group, starts to look a little scary for anyone else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's an upset and it looks scary for them as well.
Exactly.
We're going to move on to Group B, and I think this is also really important to keep our eyes out on, because this is where Falcons as well as BP are competing, and this is more feeding into that larger ecosystem of the club championship points that here at EWC, you want to make it out of that group stage, because otherwise they're going to be in a little bit of an oopsie. But the schedule as well for today is going to be a little bit more intense, I would say. We do have 2 streams running simultaneously, so there's a lot of TFT for all the TFT fans out there. We're going to be covering Team Vitality against Alcadzia Esports here on the A stream, simultaneously on the B stream, Aegis against Mouse, Flash Wolves, Twisted Minds, and then Wolves Esports, ROC Esports. So these are all on stream A, so this is if you want to tune in for the real action, wink wink. Stream B, however, if you are maybe a fan of one of the other teams that you really want to tune into, Weibo T1, oh, that's a banger.
It's a great one, yeah.
VP Falcons, Citadel Fnatic, and EVOS Esports. Besides Weibo T1, any other ones that you think the matches today are super important, whether it's A or B stream?
I think one thing to look at is Group D. I think a lot of people were looking at it as maybe a softer group, but I think it's really hard to say that about any group when it comes to the EWC. I think Liquid is a team that is maybe being a little bit slept on, a little bit underrated, and I think they're actually the favorite in that group. So I want to see EVOS as their first test. How does that Liquid squad actually look?
Is that your hot take of the tournament? Like, what?
I think Liquid's good.
Okay.
I'm not too sure.
Speak your truth.
In the same group as the champions, Wolves as well, but I don't think we can underestimate the Wolves as well coming in from last year. They did lose some of their best players, but they still have 2 of their current roster that was there last year.
So what's your hot take then when it comes to what we're looking forward to at the tournament?
My hot take might not be very pleasing for the EMEA fans out there.
Send it.
Everybody
Ship
mute.
it.
Everybody mute.
Yeah, from EMEA, mute.
Yeah,
but
mute.
everyone else,
But
turn it up.
Could be that EMEA don't get a single team out of group stage. I'm going to say it. I mean,
Wow. That's a hot take.
On the flip side,
it could come back to bite me.
Every America's team makes it out.
Oh,
But
okay.
you know me, classic America shill. But hey, that's the way it is. They're all making it out. They're all
His is
so
a
good.
caster curse. Mine's an anti-caster curse.
So
That's the way they see.
Our doctor notes, Suleiman, hot takes are going to be EMEA doesn't make it out of the group stage, and yours is NA is going to...
Americans are making it out all across the board.
Everyone.
They're all making it out of groups. Yeah.
It's like hopium versus... Oh, that's the opposite of hopium. I don't even know at this point.
Versus are you okay, Stuart? You do need a doctor. He needs a doctor's note, actually. We gotta...
Who hurt you? Let's have a look at the power rankings as well, because I think this further puts into perspective the contenders that we do have, our Aramco power rankings. Vitality, T1 Falcons, and Twisted Minds in favorites. I mean, where's the EU team? Where are the EU teams?
Well,
Where are the EU teams?
They're in the contenders.
Somewhere.
There's Mouse and Aegis. Yeah. Mouse and Aegis are good.
Not favorites. Not favorites. I think it's very difficult to count out Vitality, T1, and Falcons. I mean, we talked about, you spoke to some players as well, Ginny, you know, these are kind of the favorites coming into the tournament, but even underneath that as well, with some of the contenders, Team Liquid, like you mentioned, and also Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, I think Liquid, I can't quite say they're a favorite, but I do think within their group, I think they are the favorite in that group. So that's where I definitely would stick them there. And that's why I think they have to be a contender, right? I think they're going to make that top 8 pretty much guaranteed. I'd put my life on the line for that.
Yeah,
Don't say that. You can't say that. No.
We're going even further.
No. If anything is to be shown on my track record of predicting things at TFT tournaments, I have been the most blessing of casters to people in the past.
Okay, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I feel like, you know, the one thing that's been happening here at EWC specifically across a lot of the games are the favorites are no longer the favorites. I think like Falcons not being able to really like lock down any of those game titles as the #1 has been a little bit of a show. I mean, they did an Overwatch 2, which is great for them, but I think I would be very happy to see some upsets because that's kind of been the story this year. For you then, what would the biggest upset be?
Oh, I think it would probably have to be maybe, I mean...
Is it this one?
Maybe
for the day?
I mean, it might even be Group D as well.
Okay.
Group D could be very interesting, even when looking at the B stream. When you look at the B stream with EVOS as well, I think coming in as one of the biggest underdogs with the Polish lineup in EVOS as well. I think they have a possibility of making it out as well. But if you talk about big upsets, that's probably one of the biggest.
I think this first matchup, Ginny, might be the potential of the biggest upset that we can have on the day.
But you just said NA's making it out.
Oh no, I'm saying if Alcatzia were to beat Vitality, I would think that would be the biggest upset that we could. I don't think they will. I think Vitality should be able to lock it down, but I think if Alcatzia could take out Vitality, that's a huge upset.
Yeah.
I mean, it is going to be also a lovely game to start things off with Vitality, a roster that everybody has incredibly high expectations of when it comes to this game up against Alcatzia Esports, which we haven't seen too much of them when it comes, especially when it comes to playing on the international stage. So for them, this is an experience as well. And what a better way than start off your international experience than a literal trial by fire.
It's absolutely, when you see the firepower with these two teams, you have Volta on one side for Alcatzia. The rest of the roster hasn't even made it to regionals in EMEA, and their players maybe not up to standard. You take a look at the other side on, on Team Vitality. You have Soju, you have Milk, you have Presiva. These are players that have been to multiple Tacticians Crowns, multiple regionals. So you put the firepower head to head, but not always the firepower gets ahead. It's
crazy. You mentioned all these names for Vitality, and you didn't even mention the best player on Vitality, which is Setsuka, who's been one of the best players, if not the best player. I think Dish Soap at this point has comfortably overtaken him and is solidified as maybe the best. But in our big four in North America, in the Americas in general, it's always been Dish Soap, Setsuko, Replay, Weijin, right? So Setsuko's in that big four, and he is here ready to play.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a different way for both of these teams to actually get here to EWC. Vitality specifically, I would say, had a pretty unscathed run, but if you guys are wondering exactly how they ended up here, let's have a look.
Last year, I don't want to blame it all on luck. We definitely could have played better, but overall, I think we were the better team, and we just fell short. So this is our second year at EWC. We actually subbed out Toronto for a press event. We've been all friends for like 4 or 5 years now, so we definitely have a lot of team chemistry. We're not scared to say what's on our mind. We're always trying to improve together. So I think that's what makes us a stronger team. We definitely had a lot of time to prep. I think we're pretty strong.
Team Vitality is about fan expectations meeting performance. They have the greatest streamer in Soju, they have the greatest yapper in Milk, and they were also the most dominant team until they met the Wolves last year at EWC.
2 Vitality members falling. Toronto, Tokyo that also goes down.
It's
and
over.
The Wolves are taking out Vitality.
I don't think anybody expected this result.
So for the road to EWC, it was just kind of like an open qualifier with a bunch of teams, 120-something teams. So we were kind of worried that we might not even make it. We actually dropped a lot of first games in a BO3. We're getting kind of stressed after the first game, but overall, we ended up winning without dropping a single match, even after dropping so many first games. I think the teams there are not nearly as good as the teams competing like internationally here, so I don't know if it's too much of a confidence boost because I think the players are just much worse.
If you're a Soju fan, you should love 4v4 because Soju is actually their ace when it comes to this format. I think Team Vitality is also one of the favorites because they're the team that has changed the least. They have the same core members. They've had one more year of chemistry to kind of ferment and to catalyze all of that individual power. So I think they're a team that you have to put in the top 3.
I think we have a good shot to win, so excited.
Last year might not have been the result that they're hoping for, but they're here this year to try and right their wrongs. It was really a great final against Wolves, but you gotta start off first here in this group stage. You gotta win against Katsi. And something that I actually really liked that was mentioned when Soju said it earlier was the fact that you play that open qualifier, and yeah, you didn't drop a series, you dropped the first map here and there, yada yada da, but it's now different players because you are playing internationally. So that's also a little bit of like extra spice added to things.
I think it just builds up the confidence as well. You know, when you go through an entire open qualifier and also the closed qualifier and not drop a single series, that's a big confidence boost for the team. And with the team being together now for, well, 5 years, if you think about their friendship, they have that cohesion, they have that togetherness that if anything bad happens, they can bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been watching Twitter, you might have some worrying trends with their posts, but, definitely, making fun of each other for a lot of misplays, dying on neutrals, a lot of very funny stuff. But I think at the end of the day, this team is here. They're going to lock in. They're going to be ready immediately once they are out on that stage. And I think they're going to pop off. I think this team is going to look great.
Yeah, if anything, last year as well could have been seen as maybe a bit of character building where it comes to, you have this really great goal that you were just not able to reach, very unexpected outcome. But the thing about Vitality players is that they've learned from it and they are here to try and improve on those learnings. So let's see what they had to say.
I think all of our players are just fundamentally good. I'm not saying other players are fundamentally bad. Everyone knows how to play the game. And then from there, we have good chemistry. We kind of know more about 44, I think. That's probably our edge.
Team Vitality is about fan expectations meeting performance.
Honestly, I feel like EWC is like the most important tourney for TFT because this is like the biggest tourney that we have. This is a tourney I want to win the most, so my expectation is probably first.
Talking about best player in a 4v4 setting, I think everyone is individually really good, and I don't think there's ever just going to be a best player. I think players excel at different things.
The way they mesh together is something that is unexpected, but very delightful to see. If you're a Soju fan, you should love 4v4 because Soju is actually their ace when it comes to this format. We see Milk as kind of the quarterback. He sacrifices himself, he goes 8th, he gets to yap a lot, control what's happening with the team. Setsuko, last year, what we saw from him was he was a reroll kind of sacrificer, going for the 4th and 5th place, and then Soju carries them to the finish line in the end. It's a very unexpected dynamic if you look at their personal preferences, but there's something additional when they play as a team.
Milk as a player, relative to the rest of the 4, I think he's less flexible, but at the same time, he'll convert his spots more readily than the other players. I think if he is comfortable on the line, if he is set up for success, has the resources for it, he'll always end up top 2. So it's nice having a teammate that you can just fully trust. But I mean, it just goes with being good at the game, so.
People buy.
Milk is really consistent with he likes to yap a lot. I'm gonna say hi because
People
you are
hi.
actually
People hi.
you are our first game here today against Alcatsia. I hope you guys are having fun. And I think something that we also haven't truly highlighted yet and that we genuinely should is the fact that the players are sitting behind us and they are getting ready. And I think this is so incredible because this is going to be our SMB match of the day. Vitality going up against Alcatsia. This is a team that everybody's expecting to at least make it to the finals and potentially right what went wrong last year. Going up against a team that we are seeing compete or maybe flourish here on the international stage. And something as well that I really would love to have a discussion about, guys, is the fact that both of these teams are sitting opposite each other. So if something goes wrong, you can just like peek over your screen and be ooh, are we expecting Milk to like yap a little? Like,
lean over, give him a little people hi?
You think?
Oh.
You think?
No, absolutely not. Probably not, but like I would love if he did.
What if Volta goes 8th? Does he just look across and he just goes, oh, bye-bye?
Yeah. I mean, maybe so. I would
bye-bye,
hope.
buddy.
I would hope.
That would be so fun.
I want it to happen. I just know some of these players aren't like as like emotive while playing. Like
if
they're
it was
emotive on stream, yeah, but they're more sinking into the chair.
Yeah.
You gotta get the Soju position, right? That's the 8th.
Is Soju in his position? No, I don't think he is. No, he's set.
I do think Robin songs later at another time will walk on people.
Oh, walk?
It'll happen.
You think so?
We'll get Robin walks later. Yeah.
That we're going to
That's a
have to
banger.
look forward to.
Yeah.
But this is the game that we're going to look to today. And I think I would also love to touch upon Al Qadsiya a little bit more because a lot of the spotlight has been on Vitality, considering it's such a decorated roster and the names that they have on the roster as well, and the experience that they have when it comes to this 4v4 tournament. But then we're looking at Qadsiya, and we did put them in dark horses. I think it should be really great here to maybe set the expectations of what we can expect and who we can expect it from.
I think the big player, this big star player for Al Qadsiya is going to be Volta. I think he is the player that was here last year on branching out. He was one of the best performers, got actually the joint most MVPs last year at the Esports
Yeah, he was
World
the
Cup
ace
as
for
well.
them.
Yeah, he was the top dog for branching out. So, I mean, now coming into this roster, it's a bit of a weaker roster, I would say, overall. The other EMEA players on this roster are maybe not that well proven internationally, but I think when it comes to this 4v4 tournament, they had the same outcome: open qualifier, closed qualifier. They even played in the last chance qualifier as well.
Well, I mean, the big thing, right, is you said they're not proven internationally. They're not even proven domestically is the thing. They've never made a regional final, let alone a world final. And I think that's been the big question. And going into those global qualifiers, I think a lot of us counted them out and were proven very wrong very quickly throughout that tournament, and how strong some of these players that have not had that domestic success, not had that international success, could still play. And it wasn't just Volta as the star over and over again. It was, in fact, for me, Rebanov was one of the players that was the most impressive throughout all the series that I was watching. So I'm still keeping a close eye on this Al Qadsiya roster and seeing what they can do.
I mean, even in the final as well, like that final qualifier, they beat 100 Thieves.
Exactly.
100 Thieves was supposed to be
They should have
the
been a
super
favorite
squad
here.
Yeah, exactly. They were supposed to be the super squad. They had the likes of Dish Soap. They had Kieran on their team as well. When you put them two teams up together, they were the underdogs. They're going to be the underdogs here again today against Team Vitality. Can they do it again? And can they beat North America again?
I mean, everybody loves an underdog story, and you know, this is kind of, I already love the fact that the qualifier has been staying consistent with the stories that we've seen here at EWC in general, where the underdog stories have been rising quite a bit, and teams have very much been showing up. And I think as well, when we're looking at the fact that it's a 4v4 tournament and it's also their first game, what we've noticed from Vitality in that playoffs, in the qualifier, is they tend to drop that first.
They lost it a lot.
Yeah, so, you know, if history does end up repeating itself here, Kaza, it can be a little scary.
Oh, they're gonna make us scared, I think, throughout the entire tournament. Not even just today. I think Vitality is gonna make us nervous, but I think they're gonna be able to lock in. I think, you know, they dropped that first match a lot, but every single time they bounce back and then were dominant in the next two games. It was usually not close as far as when you looked at the whole series, right? And so I kind of expect the same out of them, but I'm hoping that they've been able to adjust, grow, become an even better team since those qualifiers, and they're not going to drop first games like they were.
And I think the big thing as well is this is still new to these TFT players. You know, 4v4 is still fresh, it's still new. We had obviously Esports World Cup last year, we have it again this year. This is still going to be new to some players. Some players are still trying to adapt to the way the 4v4 works with different compositions and different play styles as well. Who's going to go for that win out, as Soju was saying in the interview? Who's going to go for the re-rolls to try and sacrifice and try and hold some units as well? So it's not just individually. We know Vitality are great individually. It's just how they work as a team as well, and making sure that they communicate and they're right on top.
Yeah, it's also a matter of, like, does anyone from the side of Qadsiya have an ace up their sleeve as well? I think, because we already touched upon the fact that they weren't necessarily supposed to be here, but they're here already. And I think this match specifically for them, as much as we like to touch upon it as a trial by fire, because you are going to be going up against Vitality, being able to lock this match in and even being able to take maybe like one match off of Vitality, that should be a huge confidence boost for them moving into the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I really hope that Vitality is not counting them out and looking at this as like, oh, this should be an easy win, because I think that a lot of teams did that during the global qualifiers and got destroyed. So I'm definitely watching this Al Qadsiya team as still having a lot of potential. Volta has made it to the world stage 6 times for a reason. He's a very, very strong player. He's a stubborn old boar, and he's going to get the job done, right? So I'm really looking at this team to still be able to pop off. And if his leadership and veterancy can kind of push the rest of these players to kind of exceed the potential that we maybe have put before them, I think that is going to be a big story for this Al Qadsiya roster.
I think the difference between like last year and this year is that last year we had all the top players. You know, it was to do with rankings, it was all the top players, but all the favorites from last year, we talk about Falcons last year, Fnatic as well, they all got knocked out, and we were very, very surprised. This year, maybe individually, they might not be as highly valued as some other players, but I think as a group, as the team itself, they have a lot more practice together. They actually want to play with each other, which I think is a big difference between last year at EWC and this year as well.
And when it comes to the expectations for this match specifically, what would they be? How are you looking at this from like a wider angle thinking? How does, I think, Alcatia fit into this group specifically, but especially when it comes to the match today?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we saw is you heard Clement talking about the different roles that fit within the Vitality roster and how they're very good at locking in on those. Soju is the ace, right? Having the re-rolling from Setsuko last year, having Milk be able to be that quarterback, but also you heard Soju mention that if Milk has the spot, he will go first or second. It's not even a question. He's going to get it done, right? So I think having that kind of locked in, they have this synergy is something that we expect out of Vitality. Where it comes to Alcatia, when we watched them in the global qualifiers, it didn't feel like defined roles. They were all able to play different roles, and they got it done, and they got the job done, they got the wins. But do they have the ability to kind of lock in on these defined roles, or at least lock in per game those defined roles for these players and actually make it happen, or else they're going to lose 1 or 2 points here or there, and that's all that matters when it comes to these series.
Would you say then potentially the fact that they are such a flexible roster could be their downfall?
I think it's possible.
I think it's a big. I think it's all really down to what actually happens in the game itself. Of course, with a new set as well, I think that a lot of open minds are still out there. We don't know too much about what's happened in scrims as well. We know a few scrims that have happened here and there. Alcatia, we actually don't really know too much about the information of their scrims. You know, Vitality has spoken a little bit about it. Alcatia, we don't really know how they've gone. It's kind of the team of the unknown. We know how well Volta's done internationally. We know that he is, you know, set Cyber City EMEA champion. We know the power that he has there, but how does this team work as a group in this set especially?
Well, what I really want is I know it's been kind of this narrative of Volta and his kids, or just these kind of different narratives that have come through. But I want the story of Rebanov. I want the story of Flouders. I want the story of these other players that are not Volta to kind of come through at the EWC, have their hero moment on the stage. Maybe it's their hero moment to beat Vitality. Maybe it is the hero moment to just even push them to the brink, push them to the limit. But I just want to see some big moves out of this Alcatia
Quick
roster.
Prediction then?
Vitality 2-0. I'm going to be real with you, Jenny. Vitality 2.
Okay.
EMEA going to hate me even more, but I have to agree. Vitality 2-0. I have to agree.
I was really hoping that, you know, we're like having this discussion and we're going back and forth, that I was going to be like, yeah, 2-1,
yeah, let me build the hope for you and then
like,
just crush it immediately. Yeah, I got you.
I mean, I think you guys did a really good job at building the hope, and I feel like at the end of the day, it really comes down to the players as well, being able to show what they can do on the day itself, because this is a little different than playing that qualifier online and, you know, sitting in your bedroom having that Discord call on. Like, you are now on stage under the bright neon lights, casters in front of you, camera crew around you, your opponent in front of you as well. Anything that goes wrong, it's gonna get a reaction out of you.
The pressure is on for these teams, especially, you know, especially for Team Vitality, as you know, Clement was saying as well in the interviews, like the pressure of the fan base as well. You know, we talk about like Soju and Milk, how haven't really been streaming that much recently. They've been fully dedicated. They've been boot camping with Team Vitality as well. They've been fully dedicated with this tournament. If they come out this first series and if they lose their first series, everyone's going to be on the back of their minds. Is this actually an influencer squad? Are they actually going to be locked in?
They'll have to deal with Twitch chat yapping at them for a year. It will not. It will not end quickly. It'll be a long and slow process of Twitch chat yapping at them. So they definitely have a lot more pressure on their backs. They have more experience in this kind of environment. I think they're going to be more comfortable on a stage setup like this. I don't think it's going to bother them. I don't know for Alcatia. I know Volta's not going to care, but maybe the rest of the team. And I think that could be a struggle. But also, there's not much pressure towards this Alcatia roster. Are they expected to beat Vitality? No, I don't think anyone's coming in here and saying Alcatia is just going to beat Vitality, right? So because of that, Ginny's got a 2-0. But
Ginny
what I
might
will
be
say
the
is
only one.
not having that pressure could actually be a boon for this team. They can play with nothing to lose and just kind of go after Vitality. And maybe that's the way that they can find edge and actually pick up that win.
Yeah, and we are also ready to head into our first game here on the A3 with Vitality going up against Alcatia, the trial by fire, but the start of what could be greatness.
All right, thank you, Ginny, as we are going to be jumping into game right here, Stuart. What do we got?
I'm excited. New sets, 2 weeks of the new set. So many things to be open, so many units to be built up. So many stories to be built up, as well as the power-ups as well. We've got the power-ups coming on through with the set. Cass, it's going to be exciting to see How are we going to start things
First
off?
encounter of the day. What is it, Stuart?
No.
Send it. What is it? We don't know yet.
We don't know.
What do we get? All right, well, taking a look at Soju's board right out the gates, one thing we will be watching for is the new Econ trait of the set, Crystal Gambit. This is kind of an interesting one where, you know, at 3 early on, this is basically Fortune. But if you can get the emblem and play 5, it becomes Golden Ox. And you're actually just trying to win a bunch of rounds, get a bunch of kills, and be able to pick up a lot of loot that way. But we've got our power snacks. It's not going to really come online until we start to see some of our early game carries. There might be some direction out of some 1-cost reroll potentially that we can see, maybe early in stage 2, especially with the first pickup. Hero augments are kind of back with a force in this set. A lot of 1-cost particularly, and we'll be looking to see, because I think those tend to be very popular in 4v4 since you can't really stop somebody from rerolling 1-cost.
Now, I think if some players have the opening of some of these 1-cost rerolls, we think of like KO as a reroll, the crew could be an option as well, trying to get the rerolls. I won't speak about the forbidden unit just yet. I mean, we might wait until we actually see it first.
Tech.
Yeah, the forbidden tech.
There's a lot of forbidden tech, actually.
No one knows about, right? No one knows about
nobody
the
could
unit,
possibly know.
No, hopefully not. But I think the power-ups have been such an exciting new feel for this set as a whole. As you said, it offers a lot of flexibility in the early stages. And in the late stages, just offers that bit more power to your front line and to your back line as well, which I think is going to be very important to try and cap out some of these boards later on down the line.
Well, Soju hasn't found it, but we'll see if anyone else finds that great pickup, that grand piece, that general practitioner you have, as we got Silver Destiny as a very easy pickup right out the gates. Basically, these destinies just give you a random augment within the tier and some gold, and so therefore they're actually just kind of above rate, and they're just pretty much always worth clicking. Sometimes they can really mess with you. You might get like a Golemify when you didn't want it off of gold, and that can be really kind of silly, but you can usually use that gold to restabilize after the fact anyways. So taking a look through silvers, there's not a ton here that I'm immediately standing out, because the big thing I'm looking at with silvers, Stuart, is going to be those 1-cost hero augments, and I haven't seen any of those grabbed straight away.
No, nothing just yet. Everyone just going for either item power with over encumbered. We have a few Pandora's boxes there as well. Eye for an eye, beggars can't be choosers, XP as well. There's nothing really exciting too much just yet.
Yeah, and we did just see kind of our first power snacks of the tournament popped. If you haven't played much of the set, this is kind of the new set mechanic. It just gives a power up to one of your units, making them extra strong. This is the main one we're going to see out of most people, which is Unstoppable, being picked up by Soju. This thing just provides a bunch of extra CC each time that your unit retargets, and gives a bunch of health to that frontliner. It's pretty crazy. I think you're going to see this clicked like 9 out of 10 times for the frontliners on most boards, so be prepared for a lot of Kabukos and other frontliners just running into the backline straight away.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. We see Nara on the other side as well, also being able to pick up power-ups as well. You're seeing most of the time in the early stages, you want to try and put these power-ups on your backline units. There's a lot of strong backline units that you can really put this on. Extra burn in the early stages. Some of the 1-costs actually have extra power-ups as well, some unique ones as well that give the units extra power overall. We can see Volta here is the one with the Nar start as well. Has the Infinity Edge on that Jhin as well. We talk about 1-cost rerolls. 2-cost rerolls as well are a big possibility in this tournament. Again, I'm not going to talk about Forbidden Tech, but Jhin is one of them that could be a possibility. And slamming that Infinity Edge on that Jhin early instead of the Gnar makes me feel like Volta could be angling towards this.
Yeah, it's interesting. It could be angling towards Lost Stream.
Okay,
oh my gosh.
Oh, well.
No, it's Midas Touch too, Stuart. Okay, so here's the elephant in the room. Gangplank is the unit of the set. It is a very powerful unit. This 2-star GP is probably going to stabilize Revanov until, like stage 4. He's going to be in really good shape. And it's got, it also has Midas Touch. So not only does the ability itself potentially generate gold every time it picks up a kill or a takedown, it also will generate gold off of Midas Touch potentially on each of those takedowns. And so Revanov has the potential to really snowball heavily. When you see this start, immediately Alcatzia should identify Revanov as, hey, he might be able to win the whole game. So we should make sure that we kind of help him get into a position to win out.
And it's up now to Team Vitality to kind of deny some of the Gangplanks as well, because I think the big thing is, with Gangplank, you have 2 options. You can either reroll the Gangplank with the Mentors as well, going for the likes of the Kabuko, or you can use it to stabilize, to push for tempo as well, which would be interesting to see what direction he was going to go for with that, trying to make sure and see what's going to happen. Is he going to tempo? Is he going to try and go for that reroll? Has the Kraken already? Another bow for the Rage Blade as well. Brilliant start. As we see Milk as well also with that start.
Yeah, and then we got, looks like, is this Sitsuko or is this Flouders board? It looks like Flouders is hanging out here, going up against Milk's board potentially, having the GP, as you said. Yeah, he's just got the GP1, no GP2, so he actually can lose rounds. It is once you get to that GP2 that you really just kind of steamroll everyone for a little while. Another big unit we're going to want to talk about throughout the weekend, or this week really, is going to be Mundo. This is another 2 cost that you can stabilize around for your front line, and it does have a reroll line with Jin, but also 2-star Mundo kind of feels like a 4 cost.
Yep.
So you might not have to play exactly around reroll. You can just kind of use Mundo as your frontline stabilization. The Luchador synergy, kind of giving that big healing and CC that comes through, is so important, as we do get Rebenov grabbing the 4th gangplank for himself off this carousel.
Yeah, I'm looking at the GP counters at the moment. Only 2 at the moment, only Milk and Rebenov at the moment on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Of course, that 2-star gangplank. Being able to get that early on is just such a high roll. It's absolutely crazy what you can do. 1 gangplank is already good in the early stages, but 2 can make it feel even better as well. But when we talk about outside of like the gangplank and the 2 costs as well, you might be see some players trying to tempo playing for the AP lines for the 4 costs as well. I think they're going to be very important throughout this entire Esports World Cup. You know, the Sorcerers for the 4 costs with the Karma at the back line, the Prodigies as well with Yumi on the back line. These are some AP lines that, if they can do enough single target damage, has a slight chance to try and, you know, shred that GP down.
Yeah, and instead, if you're on the GP track, but you can't actually go for the reroll, you can end up going towards Ash Juggernauts later on, transfer the items from the GP over to Ash. There's also a Volibear composition that can actually work into the gangplank. You can kind of transfer the GP items there as well. It kind of works out. And then there's also All Out Cassante, a little bit different itemization than the GP, kind of a different composition. And I think we'll see some amount of All Out Cassante, but I think it will fall off slightly compared to a lot of the other 4-cost builds.
I think, like you said, the big difference is kind of the itemization with Cassante is very different to GP. With GP, since you're only playing 2 duelists, you actually want a little bit of attack speed in there with the Rage Blade stacking up. The Kraken's going to be in there as well. It's a great combination. And normally 3rd item is a little bit situational. At the start, people were thinking that IE would be a 3rd item, but actually people have been focusing more on Edge of Night to make sure you have that extra aggro.
Makes sense. As we get to the end of stage 2 here, we have 2 players potentially on the loss streak. It's both Vitality players, Prestivan and Milk. And in fact, Rebenov ended up taking a round loss somewhere in the middle there, which is quite surprising with the 2-star gangplank since he had that so early on. And I'm curious where that loss happened, as Soju and Flouders are the 2 highest HP, longest standing win streaks right now, with Soju at 3, Flouders at 2. And it is going to be Prestivan versus Milk. It looks like Prestivan did position to try and hold on to this loss streak by moving the Aatrox to the back. So it looks like Milk is letting Prestivan have the loss streak. Good decision out of Team Vitality. It seems like they've identified the Prestivan spot as being a little bit better to maintain the loss, whereas Milk, with this gangplank, can try and start a win streak after neutrals.
I think that's the big thing, because Milk has that gangplank, as you mentioned. After neutrals, he has that possibility of winning rounds, whereas Prestivan, he has a bit of a weaker board. So in general, he can try and go for the loose streak after the neutrals and try and keep that loose streak going and get as much goals as possible. Try and loose streak, as I mentioned, into some of these AP units later on down the line, as well as we get ready for the neutrals as well. These neutrals are all going to be about what other items you can make, what other units you can grab onto as well. But also you see just gold in general. You know, Milk already stacking up to nearly 50 gold. He might be above 50 gold with this round. And that's all thanks to the gangplank. You know, having a 50% chance to drop a gold when you get that takedown is going to be huge, and the Midas touch as well. So Milk just stacking up so much gold, really, throughout this early stage.
Yeah, one thing I want to note for stage 2, it's too early to worry as far as health totals are concerned, but we look at the win streaks, it's across the board. Going over to the side of Alcatia, Flouders, Volta, Rebenov, all 2-3-3 on their win streaks, a lot of HP remaining. Whereas, you know, you look at the bottom side, and even in the middle, right, Soju and Setsuko not able to kind of hold on to multiple wins in a row, getting stuck there. So we're going to take a look. We just loot subscription.
Yeah, we just got our second loot subscription, was a whole bunch of gold. Yeah. And now it's going to be really down to what's going to happen on stage 3-2. I think that's going to be the big one, because you're seeing some players actually rolling down on 3-2, trying to stabilize on like Gangplank 2, trying to stabilize your board. But now with this extra inject of gold, you might see some of these loose streak players just keep on stacking up that 50 gold every single time, and maybe try and go to level 8 8 earlier to try and find these powerful AP forecasts.
Yeah, have to also watch out for how real the Rebanov 3-star Gangplank is, because that is a huge win-out condition. We were talking in the green room about how few 3-star Gangplanks will actually feel like we'll see with how contested the unit will be, but Rebanov started this game with 4 Gangplanks, so it's really just a matter of can people actually prevent that, as Milk is going to take a loss to Volta. Just very high tempo play from the Alcatsia lineup.
Yeah, Volta actually had a Jinx on the bench as well and had 4 Jins as well, itemizing the Jin, leveling to 6 early to try and keep that win streak. So it might be a tempo play maybe into snipers, which we don't really get to see too much, or he might be just staying at level 6, trying to reroll for that Jin.
Yeah, still quite a few losses for Vitality. They're not able to really stabilize other than Soju right now, as we do have a bunch of rolls there. Magic roll going to be picked up for, looks like Espat here. It's just going to be a lot of gold.
Yeah.
A couple 2-star 3 costs to try and play around for now. The itemization, though, is just leaning towards AP. This looks like it wants to be Sorcerer, lean into Karma later, and none of these pickups are actually helpful for that, but they are going to just help stabilize the board so that you can push to 8.
Yeah, I think the big thing with that Viego 2, you can actually put the AP items on that Viego 2, and it's actually going to help him stabilize a lot. But as you mentioned, I think with the over-encumbered to start things off as well, being able to pick that up, get more items for them AP carries later on down the line.
Yeah, we mentioned that Setsi was already re-rolling a lot, and now he's going to be re-rolling into a two-cost line, or going for the Mundos, holding on to 6 Vi's, potentially looking for the Jin, as he's got 5 copies already. And we do have Milk being able to pick up one of the Mentor augments that is very good with the GP line. So he's going to be sticking in that track, trying to contest Rebanov, and he has found Gangplank 2, so at least he'll be able to start winning a lot more rounds with that.
And you see how much gold Milk rolled down as well. He only has 20 gold left, so he rolled down a lot for this GP2. As you mentioned, with that Mentor augment as well, it means that he can actually put these Mentors onto the board. He doesn't have to worry about the 1 or 4 Mentors. He could put 2 in, he could put 3 in if they want to, and when he gets that full Mentor later on, they all get upgraded as well. They all get that huge amount of power. So as you mentioned, being able to track Rebanov, we haven't seen Rebanov's board in quite some time to see how many GPs he actually has, but he is on a 4 win streak as well. Volta also on a 5 streak at the top as well. So both the players sitting at the top, as we see 5 at the moment. So
5 GPs.
It's a lot of gold though in the bank. Yeah. So I think he's kind of figuring out, does he want to play tempo? Does he want to go for the reroll? I think that's the big question. He is keeping well above 50 gold. He's kind of thinking to himself and probably communicating with his team. Should I go for the reroll? Should I go for the tempo play? What's the plan here for the team?
I feel like 5 GPs, and it's not like overly held based on the boards we've seen. I think he actually could go for the reroll this game. Usually you're not going to be able to get out of there. Volta having a rise in the shop. He's actually also holding Gangplank, so they were trying to deny Milk, I think, but maybe it's possible that his team will sell them and send Rebanov to just start rerolling as soon as they go for that. As Volta is contesting Setsi in this Jin Mundo line.
I think Jin Mundo is the secondary option for the 2 costs when we talk about GP being really strong with Kabuko. Dr. Mundo with that huge front line, being able to do so much with Luchador as well. With that Jin as well, that 4 shot on the back line also going to be very huge. So we're seeing a lot of 2 costs being contested at the moment. A lot of 2 costs coming into this carousel. We do have a Yuumi on the board, so we have to see if maybe one of these players try and go for the AP unit and try and use the Prodigy line as a bit of an option.
Yeah, I think Flouters maybe could go towards that direction based on the items that I'm seeing with the Gunblade Slam. I think that tends to potentially go in that direction. Prestivan also could consider Yuumi, as we do just have 2 of the crit item slams, Jeweled Gauntlet, as well as that Guard Breaker, and so does have a sword open, so that might just want to be Sorcerers with going into a Shojin off a tier, but it could still instead be a Gunblade and go into Prodigies with the Yuumi.
I think the flexibility of the 4 cost with the AP line is such a big thing. I think just even in 4v4 as well, when you go for that roll down at level 8, you can pick up the Karmas, but you can also pick up the Yuumis as well. You can kind of flex around which one you hit 2-star. If you hit the Karma 2-star, it would be great. If you hit the Yuumi, it's also completely fine. You can still stabilize with the front line as well.
With the units that Prestivan was holding, it does feel pretty committed to Sorcerers, though. You would have to find a couple of extra 1 costs later on that level 8 roll down to full pivot into Yuumi. You could still use it. If you found the 2-star, you could still kind of use it in the interim, but definitely wanting to be a Karma composition at the end of the day. Volta going up against Setsuko, both of them having their Mundos, but the itemization for Volta on the Jin is so much better right now.
Yeah, the Giant Slayer doing well to try and break through this front line. You saw that Volta actually use one of the removers, something that we haven't spoke about yet. What you can do as well with these new power-ups is you can use the removers, which removes the power-ups and kind of allows you to pick another power-up as an option. Use it on the Jhin, trying to find that artistic KO, trying to find that extra power on the force shot, which is one of Jin's best power-ups to kind of pick up at the moment. Unfortunately missed out this time, but you do get one remover at the start of every single stage, so you'll be able to try and find it a little bit later on down the line. And then we have another power snack coming on for another power-up that he can now use for his front line.
It's really how the composition works, right? Jhin actually needs this artistic KO, or else it just kind of falls flat. It'll be fine for like stage 3, maybe early stage 4, but if you don't want to completely fall off towards the end of the game, you need it, because what it does is it basically takes any overkill damage that you do on the 4th shot onto one unit and passes it to another unit.
Yeah.
And because you lose so much damage if you don't have it, because 4th shot does so much as a 3-star Jhin, you really, really just need it for the composition to actually function. So we'll see Volta using that rolling quite a bit throughout the game until he gets to the artistic KO.
And you can see Volta actually sold his 2 gangplanks as well now, so I think indicating to Rebanav as well to let's reroll it this time. The communication is coming on through. Holding the GPs so someone like Milk doesn't get it, and then as soon as Rebanav is ready for the roll down, Volta sells the GPs and then he tries and goes for the roll down. So great communication here to start things off for Alcadzio, and at the moment they're both sitting very comfortably. Volta 98 HP, Rebanav on 94 HP. Both of them are looking very, very strong, and President on the other side on a 9-loss streak. Has a lot of gold, is nearly level 8 already, so he can go for that roll down with the items that he had said. You mentioned the Shojin slam has come in the end, so he's definitely tailoring more towards sorcerers rather than Yuumi.
Here it comes, level 8 right
Roll down
away.
comes on through.
Prestiven's going to start it, finds Yuumi's going to just skip them. He is just going for the Karma. Jarvan, a very important pickup. If he can 2-star it for the front line, that'll help stabilize quite a bit, but he does need the Karmas. He's going to wait out the neutrals. It looks like he's not contested immediately, so he will be able to kind of go for it, but he's so incredibly low already, Stuart. I think this is going to be a big struggle for Team Vitality with the HP disparity.
Yeah, he needs to kind of make sure you stabilize now on Jarvan 2 and also the Karma 2 as well. The problem with Jarvan is that he's one of the most contested units in this set because the Mentor GP comp wants to play it as well. The Sorcerer comp wants to play it, and there's probably going to be multiple Sorcerer players from what we've been seeing in early stages. Jarvan 2 is a
Karma.
huge upgrade.
No
0 Karmas so far. Has found a Rise as well, which is also pretty nice contested pick, but no backline damage. That's the problem right now. We still are sitting on that Lux 2-star. Not a single Karma on this roll down. You do have the front line. You do have great front line. The Swain 2, yeah, Jarvan 2, Cassante 2. But where's the damage coming from? You only really have the damage from the Lux, and that's it. As he is going to, well, he did get all out, but this is a tank Cassante, so I don't think that's going to be the option.
It's not going to happen, and finding the Rise 1 can help, but if it was a Rise 2, you could at least like just put the items on Rise and kind of go with it. But I don't know that Rise 1 actually gets the job done. I'm curious if it's better than Lux 2, but I think Precedent would know better. He's always been kind of a specialist when it comes to AP, as we do have a Karma 2 on the other side. I was saying, hey, maybe he has time to not get contested, but it looks like the Karma would just hit immediately by Espat.
Oh my god, the Karma ability at the end actually spreading around and doing enough damage as well. So it's a really battle between Espat and Precedent. Both the 2 lowest HP members, both of them have been using that econ throughout the entire game to try and roll down, hit the units. One hit Jarvan 2, the other hit Karma 2. And of course, the Karma 2 is going to bring out a lot more power later on down the line.
Yeah, I mean, if Prestivant can actually find any backliner upgrade, like if he's able to find the Rise 2 even, just to shift items, I think because his front line is so disgustingly good, he actually will outlive Espat because Espat's front line is a lot more paper to these like more heavy power comps that are going throughout the rest of the lobby, like Volta's Mundo 3 that was picked up to go alongside the Jhin, even though still not able to find the Jhin 3, as that has been picked up by Setsuko. So they've traded frontline backline here, just like Prestivant and Espat have traded frontline backline in their other composition.
The big thing here with Setsuko is look how many GPs he's holding on his bench.
Yeah.
He has plenty of GPs that he's holding on the bench at the moment. Like you said, that trade is going to be very important. Prestivant in the end going for that portable forge, finding snipers focused on that Jhin, which is going to be really nice to try and help him out with that little bit of extra damage on his only 2-star Jhin. But I think it really comes down to now, how much damage is this Jhin going to be able to bring out? Rage Blade is a very unique item for Jhin. Jhin, because it doesn't actually increase his attack speed. It increases the attack damage because the attack speed actually gets converted as well, which is very unique.
This set
but
is
the
just
Karma as well.
obliterating him.
Yeah, the Karma is just doing so much AoE damage. Just one shot to Jhin on the backline. That's going to be another loss here for Setsuko, as we have to take a look at President as well and Espat sitting at the bottom as well to see how they're doing. Volta, though, look at this Mundo. Look how tanky he is.
Yeah, and this is, again, we're just seeing Alcatia wins across the board. So many losses having to be taken by Vitality. They're losing way too much HP. And I love this little cook from Espat because he wasn't able to find any Jarvans, not able to find the normal front line. He just plays a set and goes 4-jug. And just says, hey, you know what? We just have to get some amount of front line. I have a Karma 2 that should be enough to stabilize. And the set, relatively uncontested, ends up being amazing as a front line in that fight.
Very unique, because normally we see it with the Mighty Mech, you know, getting that extra unit on the board, getting that extra body on the board. But like I said, with the Juggernauts being one of the most powerful frontline units at the moment, with obviously the Dr. Mundo, but obviously the set being very powerful as well. Great adaptation here from Espat to kind of make sure that he can get enough frontline for that Karma to do enough burst damage on the back.
Yeah, Milk on 6 Gangplanks. Probably not going to be able to find the 3-star Gangplank. I'm curious if Revanov can get there either. I did not see it pop up. Gangplank very strong, but I think Mundo 3 tends to be a bit stronger. See if Gangplank gets in range to actually start shooting at the Jhin, because it'll hit lowest target, but he's not. All up to the Udyr trying to take down the Jhin. One more cast, doesn't get there. And Mundo trying